Hello everybody, Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author, host of 2 PBS specials, here today to bring you another short video on a topic that is designed to help you bring more clarity, confidence, and creativity to everything you do. Today I want to look at the problem of conflict between coworkers and or family members. And I want to come at this from a different perspective. There's a quote from Buckminster Fuller that says, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality." I'm going to take that and adapt that a little bit. That basically says you never change people by fighting their existing reality. So if you want to diffuse conflict among coworkers or family members, what you can't do is try to convince them to change their mind about how they feel. They will just start arguing for the very behavior you want them to change. Now, this can be from a couple of different perspectives. If you are someone who is in conflict with a coworker or a family member, that's tough because in some ways they see you and what you think as the problem. And what most people do is they go into that situation trying to convince that person that they are wrong and we are right, and that just makes the conflict escalate. We're trying to change things by changing what they believe or their existing reality. If you truly want to diffuse conflict between yourself and a coworker or a family member, what I encourage you to do is stop talking about their existing reality, especially as it pertains to the present and or the past. What I suggest you do is begin to talk about the future. Because in the future, there is motivation for people to come together without conflict. Nobody really likes being in conflict with a coworker or a family member. The problem is people don't see that there is an option for something different. So the first thing you've got to be able to do in diffusing conflict between a coworker and a family member, if you are part of the conflict, is actually let them sense that you truly want to understand their perspective. Now there is a difference between understanding and agreement. And this takes a lot of purposefulness. It takes coming from what I call the top of the mind or the upper 80% of the brain. See, most of the time when people are in conflict, they're in that lower 20% of the brain. That's why we say things or do things, and that's why difficult people say things or do things that just seem to make no sense, certainly don't solve the problem. So, in order for you to be influential in a conflict, you've got to be coming from this upper 80% of the brain. You've got to go through their doorway, and initially their doorway is what they believe to be true. Your willingness and ability to listen to that and say something like, I can see how you would see it that way. I can see how that would be important to you. I can see how that would be upsetting to you. Doesn't mean you agree with them, but it does free them to actually listen to what you have to say versus debate the righteousness of their perspective. Then you can say, and I'm wondering, in the future, I'm wondering if we could. See, now that's a whole different perspective. You're not trying to change what they believe. You're trying to create a different perspective in the future. Easier said than done, absolutely. But that's the only way this works. If you are someone, a supervisor or a manager or the head of a family or a parent or an important person in a family, you want to diffuse conflict between people within your team, within your organization, and or within your family, then what you've got to do is have them recognize that conflict only serves to prolong the problem. Very few people enjoy conflict. So I think what you could do is have these two people that are in conflict. I think you could go to them individually probably at first and say, listen, I know you don't enjoy arguing and being in conflict with this person. What if we could create a scenario, perspective in the future where you got some of what you want, they got some of what they want, and you guys could work together in a way that would be less conflicted. Would you be open to that? Most people would, especially and also family members. If you can go to a family member and say, you know, I know that it's no fun always arguing with this person. Would you be open to a different way of doing that in the future? If I could help you guys kind of come together. Now remember, all of this is easier said than done, and frankly, the easiest way to diffuse conflict within a coworker or a family member is actually to bring someone else in to help diffuse that conflict. Sometimes when you are a supervisor and you're trying to diffuse conflict within your team, they kind of see you as the judge and someone that they have to please and or court and or want to get on their side. When you bring someone in, a professional who is really good at this, that professional can then listen to the perspectives, begin to formulate a different way of doing it in the future, and motivate the players to move toward that different way. I've had the pleasure of doing this with teams and with families. And what I find is when I'm able to go in and interview the players, find out what's important to them, show them how all of this works in terms of how the brain processes information, I'm almost always able to help them create a scenario in the future that as they move toward the conflict lessens. I believe I could do that in your particular situation. So if that's something you want me to do, feel free to go to my website, Ph.D.com. Hit the contact button, let me know what you want me to do, and we can certainly talk about that. If you are interested in how all of this works in the brain, for those of you who are not familiar with my Life from the Top of the Mind philosophy, you can also go to my website, and right on the home page, there's a place for you to put your name and email address in, and I will actually send you 4 free videos that walk you through this new perspective on the brain and show you how to use it to, again, bring more clarity, confidence, and creativity to everything you do. Because my goal is to help you be more influential in your life and in the lives of others. Again, I hope you found this valuable. I try to keep these videos short. Here is to you bringing more clarity, confidence, and creativity to everything you do. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.